Supergirl Episode 8, Hostile Takeover. Now, for the mid-season finale, I think this was a pretty interesting episode because even though, of course, we got to see Kara as Supergirl during a couple of fairly big moments, this one was definitely more about character than anything else, which I've mentioned several times. That's what I love about the show, even more than the action. It's the character development that's really good, and I think we got a lot of pretty cool stuff in this. We got some stuff with Kara and just the way she grew up, and we got a flashback of her on on Krypton with her aunt, and we find out that her mother actually used her in order to capture her aunt, so that made her really mad, and she was so angry. She does like the heat vision towards the, I guess, the hologram version of her mom and stuff, and I was like, that was a really good moment. Her just finding out that secret in general kind of threw her for a loop a little bit, and it's like she kind of blames her mother now for everything that happened because she didn't know what was really going on when she was a kid, and now she's getting all these facts kind of just all at once, and it's like she has to fight against her aunt, and then she has to figure out what's going on with them, and then she gets the truth about her mother, and maybe her aunt was right about Krypton, and that was something that they kind of changed up, and I feel like that's something that's always changing. But in this version, they basically do it where her aunt was the person that knew Krypton was gonna explode. It's normally Jor-El, Superman's dad. So it's normally him that knows the truth about what's happening with the entire planet. And in this case, it was Astra. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they kind of took Jor-El's sort of storyline from Superman's past. Yeah, it's technically his past. He was on the planet, so from his past, they kind of took that storyline and gave it to Astra for Supergirl. So that was pretty interesting. And then we got to see, all the stuff with Cat Grant, and we find out that she has another son who's older, and we find out that she was in a relationship with the guy before, and this was kind of when she was building Catco. And so basically she gave up the fight for her son because she figured we'll be in each other's lives anyway. So she gave up, that big custody battle because she was at Cat Grant, or at Catco 24/7, as she said, and it just didn't play out the way that she thought it would. And she, of course, didn't want that to kind of come out and blow up in her face. But it was pretty interesting. I actually liked the character stuff for this episode because of those more personal moments, and like Kara kind of having her role kind of thrown for a loop, where it's like, it was actually her mom's plan to have her, signal her aunt so that she could get captured. And it was just something that she never realized until her aunt said it to her. It was like, was it your idea or was it your mom's idea? And it's like, crap, I got used. And, that's what got my aunt arrested. So it was pretty cool. And the action in this episode is pretty interesting as well. We got to see Kara and Alex sparring again, which is pretty cool. And then we got to see the end fight scene. I personally enjoyed. My favorite part was Hank when he was kind of using his Martian manpower, powers, I guess, Martian Manhunter powers. That I thought was pretty sweet because he gets punched and he takes it, and the guy's like, that shouldn't have happened. Like, he should be destroyed right now. Like, I just punched him in the chin. And he was kind of messed up. I was like, you don't fight like a human. It's like, because I'm not, which really cool. He does the eye thing and everything. So I was like, that was pretty sweet. He does mention that he, has telepathy in this, which I thought was kind of funny. Alex, like, you can read minds and stuff. And something else that he mentioned during that moment, he was like, oh, I can't read, Kryptonian physiology kind of blocks me from reading their minds, which Superman finds hilarious. So he knows who Superman is. He's definitely met Clark before. He may not have met, Clark Kent, but he's met Superman. And I was like, that's pretty interesting. Like, he said it in passing, and Alex was more on the, you can read minds thing rather than the fact that he actually met Superman, which I guess, considering his position, isn't that big of a surprise. But I don't know, for me, when he said it, I was like, oh, he actually does personally know Superman, and, he's met him, and he mentions, like, oh, he finds that hilarious, so that kind of gives it a more personal feel compared to, like, oh, we met this one time, and I couldn't read his mind, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if it'll actually, do much, because I'm sure they still won't be doing too much Superman stuff in the show where, like, they bring him in or anything like that, but I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, he's actually met Superman for real, and Superman knows, that Hank is actually, the Martian Manhunter. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. It shows that they already have that connection within this universe. So that was pretty cool. It was, like I said, it was very in passing, and then it was more like you have superpowers than Superman. But that's something I noticed. So I was like, that was pretty cool. Like you throw that in there a little bit. He's definitely met Superman. Superman knows who Hank is, and that's probably why he doesn't have any issue with the DoD and stuff like that. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I thought that was nice. Excited to see more of the Martian Manhunter as Martian Manhunter, because we still only had like his initial introduction, and they do the CG and stuff. And I mentioned before, they probably won't show us that too often because it's going to be full CG, so we probably won't see it too many times. But I definitely do want to see it again because I thought they did it very well. It looked perfect. It was like his actual alien form, his Martian form. So it was very cool for sure. So I do want to see it again, and I would love to see him use more of his abilities. I think that would be really sweet. And obviously, still first season introduction, can't do too much with Martian Manhunter. It's the Supergirl series, so can't do too much with it and take away from her spotlight. And I understand that, but it'll be cool to see him do a lot more. I do want to know. I'm not sure when this will happen, but of course we all know that Kara's gonna figure out he's an alien, that he's Martian Manhunter. So I'm wondering how long he and Alex are gonna have this secret from Kara, because of course, now that Alex knows everything that happened, Kara's kind of on the outside, and she's just like, why in the world are you so buddy buddy with him all of a sudden? And it's like he didn't kill my father and everything, and that's pretty much it. And she does kind of let it go, but in that first part, it was just like her face is just like, why are you saying Hank will handle this? Like, what happened? Like when we were on the same page, what happened there? So it's gonna come out eventually, but that might be something they save for the second season. Maybe for whatever reason, Kara won't be able to defeat, maybe Astra or something, or maybe whatever happens when they come back, it's simply going to be, they're going to find the DoD, like the rest of the prisoners from Fort Rozz. They might find it, and Hank will just have to flat out, go full Martian and attack them or something, but who knows? It should be exciting either way. I don't know how long they're going to have Astra, because she was the decoy for this whole big plan to go to Lord Technologies, which I still don't really know why they're there. I mean, the guy, I forgot, like his name is Nan or whatever, Astra's husband. He does say like, oh, you're one of like the great people of Earth or whatever, and you've lived your last moments. But I don't think it was just, oh, let's kill this one person as an example, because they could have done that and just killed a bunch of people as an example instead of just like one famous guy. So it had to be more than just, let's kill this guy on TV, or who's been on TV. So it has to be something about his technology, which clearly works, because he shot that first guy straight in the face with whatever that thing was when he was about to do his heat vision, and he just messed him up. I was like, oh, well, that was pretty cool. He has like, it looks like a grenade launcher, but it shoots out like, I guess it was tar or some form of super tar, I guess, I don't know. But that was pretty cool. He was like, oh, I guess it works. And I was like, man, he's building all sorts of crazy stuff to fight, aliens off. And then we have all these different creatures going up against him. It wasn't just Kryptonians, but we had the guy who could like split himself into, different parts. I thought when he was fighting and the person grabbed him, I thought he honestly like ripped open completely. And then, he split into another part of himself. And I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't, not as gross as I thought, but that still would have been cool, to be totally honest. But it looked like he just like was ripping open when the person did that. But he can split into different parts of himself. There was the woman who basically shot, I'm assuming, poison gas just straight out of her mouth. So they showed off a couple of different creatures in this episode, and then everyone else seemingly was Kryptonian. But it was still pretty cool. Like everyone, they went in guns blazing, and it was a pretty cool fight scene. I certainly enjoyed it. Surprised how they ended things. It wasn't a resolution, but that also has me excited for when the season starts up again, because it's gonna pick up right in the middle of this fight, or it might be the end because she's going up against Nan, so it could be the end of the fight, but it still means that once the season starts up again, we're going to be right in the middle of the action, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. We still do have the mystery of exactly what they're trying to do, so that will get answered as well in the next episode, I would have to assume. And like I said, we don't know how long they're going to have Astra. I thought for sure when she showed Kara the beacon, when they realized that it was a trap and everything, that she let herself get captured, I thought it was because she had that one half of the beacon, but someone else now had, the other half, like whoever, from Fort Rozz, and that's how they would find the DOD, and that's still possible that someone could have it, or it could just be like any sort of walkie-talkie, and you just change the frequency, and then you can, find that person. So that could technically still be the case where they, do like their main thing first, and they go attack lower technologies to get whatever it is they're looking for, and then it's like, all right, we got this, weapon to help kill a bunch of people off, and then boom, we'll just switch this little thing to channel 2, and oh look, there's Astra, and just mass attack on everybody again. So that could still happen, might not happen, who knows. But obviously Astra isn't going to be locked up permanently. So it's kind of just a big question now. Like, she's there. How is she going to escape now? And we saw in the beginning of the episode, we find out why they weren't affected by the blade. It was because of the suits that they wear. So it had nothing to do with like other forms of kryptonite or anything. Like I was thinking, I was like, maybe it was blue kryptonite, which slightly turns people human. And they could have changed that up a little bit, for the show. But they just have crazy power suits that insulate them, even though their skin is totally exposed and everything. It's just like, I don't know how that works, but they have it. So if they can somehow reverse engineer that technology, then they should be fine. And I think those suits make everyone fly too, because I believe everyone was flying when they all first came into like lower technologies, and I don't know necessarily if all of those different species can fly or not. Like obviously, I have no idea who they are, but it seemed like maybe it was a part of the suits, because when Hank ripped the suit off, it seemed like that was important, and I feel like that was because that allowed them to fly as well. So maybe it does some other things outside of, oh, it just protects you, from kryptonite if you happen to be Kryptonian. But I don't know. It was pretty interesting because everyone had the same suits on, but clearly not everyone was Kryptonian. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe the woman didn't have that, because I don't remember seeing like a light on her. So maybe they didn't all have it. But I could have sworn they were all flying in when they first showed up. So I don't know. But still a fun episode. Certainly enjoyed the story elements of it. Finally, we have something. And this, I say finally, even though it doesn't count for this show. But with this show being, one of the DC shows, I compare it a lot to Flash. And I was thinking of that when I was watching the opening. I was like, all of, like, the Berlanti, Greg Berlanti shows, they all have the same style opening where they just talk over the opening, and then it's like, like in Flash, he's like, I'm the fastest man alive and everything, and then it says, like, I am the Flash, and all that stuff. So, I was, when I was watching it, it was like, I can't believe they actually had a character figure out who Kara was, and I thought it was really cool that Cat Grant did that. And I guess I can't really talk about Flash in case anyone's behind, so I won't spoil why I said finally, but there's a certain thing with like a character figuring out who the Flash is, and it's been driving me nuts, and I wish it happened already. And then, they do it with Supergirl, and it's just like, boom, she figured it out. I mean, it's glasses, so she should have automatically, but I guess, I mean, at least she figured it out, because that was pretty cool. And she did the superhero thing. Like, Cat Grant did the exact superhero thing that no one figures out. It's like, you left, they showed up, they left, you showed up again. That's every superhero, unless the person clones themselves or thinks about it. I've never seen a superhero show where the person thought about, I can't show up in a split second, stuff like that. So she figured it out from that, and it made perfect sense. I was like, finally, just logic. And I mean, she still got tricked by the glasses, but still, just logic. Like, you disappeared, they show up, and vice versa. So I was like, I'm so glad Kat figured that out. And that should be interesting, because now that she knows Kara is Supergirl, she's going to understand a lot of the issues. It's not going to be the same thing where it's like, oh, you're my secretary, do this and do that, and why are you acting so weird and this and that. And I love the fact that she figured it out because of the superhearing thing. And it's like, oh, you figured it out because of this, and that was what really triggered it. And it was like, okay, that was like just the final straw. And then she connected all the dots together, like, the disappearing stuff, and then just the name in general, the Supergirl stuff. So it's like, it's really cool that she kind of backtracked through everything, and it was like she figured it out. And now that she knows, I'm really excited to see what relationship that makes between Kara and Kat, and also what Kat's gonna do, because she'll probably figure out, or she'll probably just ask her, like, does Jimmy Olsen know, and does Win know? Even though she won't say Win, um, excuse me, she'll say any other sort of thing. Like, she called him a handsome hobbit in this, which I thought was really funny. But she'll probably just flat out ask her, because she is, she's Cat Grant, so she's fairly blunt. She might just be like, who else knows? And not get too specific. She'll just be like, who else knows? And expect, every bit of information. But I thought that was nice. I thought it was a great change for the dynamic. Even though it's the first season, I'm totally fine with her knowing, because it was kind of just the normal boss thing where it's like, oh, the boss is mean. Even though she's definitely had her moments where, she's changed from that first episode as just being like the mean boss to certainly having some very human moments, which were great. So I like this progression. This very fast progression for her. I think will make Cat Grant an even more interesting character, because now she'll understand what Kara's really going through, and she'll try to be there to help her. And she's always kind of been conscious enough to know what's really happening. Like when Kara lost her powers, she kind of knew, like, oh, Supergirl's not coming around because something bad happened, so she won't be here, anytime soon. And she was smart enough to just figure that out. And it's like, she didn't know exactly that it was because she lost her powers, but it was like, she knew she was gone for, whatever reason. And she kind of stood up, for Supergirl in that moment. So she's always been, smart enough to know what's going on with Kara, even before. It was like, when Kara was having issues just being Supergirl, it's like she's taking on too much. She needs to start small with, like, little bank robberies and stuff like that. And that was really good advice that Kara needed. So she's always been there to help her, even when she didn't know she was helping Supergirl, when she was just randomly talking to Kara. But now that she knows that, she might give even, better advice. She might consider, exactly what she's saying. And then, at the same time, she is Cat Grant, so she might still just say exactly what she was going to say, regardless. But it was really cool. I'm excited to see, how that plays out for the rest of the series. What weird interactions. I feel like Win is going to have, like, a really silly interaction or just reaction once he realizes that Cat Grant now knows. He might freak out a little bit. I feel like Jimmy might even freak out from that, because from the outside, you might just not know what to think. It's like, oh, Cat Grant knows I'm Supergirl now. That's a weird sentence to hear. As Jimmy and Win. It's like, I don't know what that even means for us right now. So I'm kind of looking forward to their reactions once they find out that she knows, because it should be pretty funny from both of them. But overall, it was a pretty fun mid-season finale. Certainly glad. I do wish that, there's more of a fight towards the end, and that they kind of told us what was happening. But that's kind of the point of mid-season finales, is to leave on a cliffhanger. So it left on the action cliffhanger, where Kara's kind of going up against someone that she might not be able to beat, because Nan was, of course, older, so I'm sure he's had, I know for a fact that he's had way more time to develop his powers and, train and things like that. So she might not defeat him, but we're going to get a cool action scene, and we'll get our actual answer as to what exactly they were looking for at Lord Technologies. So I think this is a really good mid-season finale. I'm certainly excited for, the second half of this season with the cat stuff. Astra's kind of, they laid out, like, what the big plan was. Basically, we're destroying our world. So very real, real world stuff for sure. But looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Of course, though, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I want to know what you guys think about Kat finally realizing that Kara is Supergirl. Like, are you guys glad that it happened quick? Are you guys disappointed that it happened so fast? Do you not care that it happened whatsoever? Definitely want to know what you guys think. I personally really enjoy it because I think it'll help make Kat even more human, and I think her more human moments are actually the best moments when she's not being kind of mean and over the top. It's actually really nice to watch her character, and sometimes when she is over the top, it's really good. Like when she called when a handsome hobbit, that was pretty funny. So sometimes it's really good, but I really love those serious character moments from her, and I think we'll get a lot more now that she knows Kara's secret. So that's how I feel about it. But like I said, I want to know what you guys think. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.